Hey guys, it's Aaron. Welcome back to Lloyd's Comics and Collectibles, and today we're going to do some of that mini painting. Now, I'm probably just going to do this guy in the video base coated, because that's what you guys should probably be doing for your first minis if you got your pre-primed minis. Ignore this black and gray, or white and gray and black. That's another priming method. Maybe when I feel like I've nailed it down a little bit better, we'll go over. But so I'll just do my base coats because I'm going to try to do a little bit more highlighting to this guy, but it'll give you the same idea. So start with our base coat, and what I've decided to do here is experiment with starting darker than I normally would, because as I've tried to do some of my 40K guys, I feel like my colors are too similar, so I don't know how this is going to work out in the end, but that won't matter for you guys. So what I'm stirring up here is a mixture of, like, I think I'm trying 5-to-1 on glaze medium to see how thin this is, because you want it pretty thin. You guys can probably do a little less, because if you just base coat to tabletop it, but I want mine a little bit thinner because I'm going to try to use that primer thing later to add to it. And the great thing about mini painting is, as long as you are careful, if you wanted to try more advanced techniques later, you could try it. So you could just base coat this guy, get his base colors right, and go in and add other stuff later when you got more comfortable. So I always put a little bit on my brush, then usually come over here and try to work it in a little bit. Just try to make sure I don't have too much. And that may not be enough, actually. Let me get a little more. And then do this a little bit. Now what I figure does, because sometimes mine comes out a bit streaky, is you want to be very gentle as you touch the model. You don't really want to see the bristles deflect, as odd as that might sound. Because I feel like the more pressure you put on it, the more streaky it gets. So let's keep going here. And all I'm going to do is do the first layer of base coat on this guy's green. So at this point, I might fast forward the video, because I don't want you guys to sit here bored through this part, because it takes a little bit. And all we're literally doing is base coating. We're just putting down our first coat. So I will probably fast forward through here. Like I said, all you're doing is what you see me doing. And, like, if the camera will pick it up, let me try moving the light here a little bit. See how sort of the gray's still peeking through a little bit? That's fine. You want it thin. You don't want to necessarily get it all in one coat, because that's probably an indicator it's too thick. And the reason why I'm wiping a good bit of this off is I feel like it does better. You can control more when you thin it down if you remove a good bit of the paint. So we'll continue this process, and I will probably be back as soon as it is finished. Hey guys, I had to take a little bit of a break. My hands are bothering me, but I wanted to cover something else real quick while we're doing this base coat here. So maybe I can cut out some of this painting to shorten the video for you guys a little bit. When you see me painting, this is why I like this A friend of mine made me these on a lathe. They're model holders. But a lot of people say they shake when they paint. So what you want to try to do, even if you don't have this, is you want to try to find a point to, like when I'm doing this, like going in here, I see how I'm anchoring to something with my pinky here, and then come in here and do a couple of strokes or whatever, right? I shake way less because I'm anchoring to a point. Now, if you don't have this, if you're just holding the mini, like let me grab another guy. Let me just say, I don't recommend it if you're just doing the base. Try to anchor off of the other parts of your hand, right? Like you could, like if you're doing this guy, come in here, put your pinky on the side of the base, and then do your thing. And you can even, what's holding him on there is called poster tack. So you could even take a poster tack bottle, like a pill, like if you got a extra pill bottle, and there you got a model holder, right? See? I'm holding it on there with my hand at the moment. But so if you got like leftover prescription bottles, it might be a bit big for your hands, but the cap that came with your primer, or I mean, you can use anything that you can just affix the model to. But to help with that shaking, like try to put your pinky, or if it'll even allow, like this would allow, like I can literally put 2 fingers on this because of this handle. This is why I like this thing, because there's always a place, as long as I'm holding it right, to anchor to. And that'll help with you shaking. So, I mean, if you got somebody that's got a lathe, get them maybe to make you a handle. They sell handles online, so you could get one that's not required, but it can help. And if you ain't got one, like I said, you can staple to your fingers, or use a pill bottle or the cap from your spray paint. Now, the other thing I want to kind of go over, and this might vary, but I feel like I do better, right, when I don't go over the same spot too many times with brush strokes, if that makes any sense. Let me find another spot. So like right here, so like I'm going to hit it a few times, right, and then move on. Like don't worry about necessarily getting it spot on perfect the first time through, right? Because I feel like that's when it gets streaky and you make a mess out of your paint. And if your paint has actually started to dry and you're doing that, you can actually tear the paint because it's partially dried, and then you fussing over it over and over again can cause the paint to tear. So try to get an area with as few strokes as possible and then move on. And if you have to come back and touch it up later, come back and touch it up. Because like you can see me checking between his legs is real hard to make sure you get it all. And I would also recommend an approach, like you've probably seen me here, like I'll start with like the front of the leg, then I'll go to the back of the leg, then the front of the foot, to make sure you get everything, sort of segment them off. It's not required, but it can help. And if you noticed, this guy's in parts. He's not all the way built. You may not be able to do that with your pre-built minis. May not be able to, because I've had some that I've tried to, and it can be a pain in the neck. But if you can, try to think about what you're going to paint on him. And like leaving this guy's gun off gives me good access to get the chest good and colored. His backpack off means I can get the back. And I have gator clips that there's his hand, so I can come back and paint that by itself. And I've got his backpack off to the side here. Now why you do that is because, even though it is doable, imagine doing that with this guy, and it's going to be a pain in the neck to really make sure you get in there and get the chest. Granted, you can't see a lot of it, so it doesn't matter. But it can be helpful to remember that in the future, and when you're building your own minis, build them in sub-assemblies. Or leave them partially broken down. If you need to prime it all as one piece, you can put some of the poster or the sticky tack on the points, and you can usually put them together enough to hold to prime, and then pull them back apart. Anyway, guys, I'm going to get back to base coating, so we're going to go back into time lapse. Okay guys, we're back, and he's dried in some spots. He's still drying a little bit, but as you can see, like on this shin here, there's still some of the gray peeking through, so we'll have to do another pass on the green, which is fine. That's what we want. But we're going to go ahead and move on to other things. So next I'm going to do black for the shoulder trim. Some of these Under Armour areas, I don't know if I'll show, like the ribbed areas there and on the back of the knees. That knee pad. And the pistol in his holster. Not a lot of spots for using black right now. And I might try to get some rib spots in there, but we'll see. Okay guys, I'm back. So what we're going to do is shake up our black. Always shake up your paints before you use them. If you get the Pro Acryl, they come with agitators inside. But something to pick up down the road might be some plastic little spheres that are agitators. You want something that you know for a fact is not going to rust in the paint, because that could cause problems. So we're going to come in here and... Okay guys, we're back. That black is still drying, but you can see it looks pretty good, but it's a little thin. Like on the knee there, you can see some of the gray peeking through on the shoulder. And I think I touched that accidentally, so I have to go back and fix it. And there a cat here there too, I think. But anyway. So, like I said, you'll have to go back and do multiple coats. We'll do the chest, skull, and wings next. Now, for you guys, I thought this was worth mentioning. Since you guys are just going to be doing your first time, you're going to be putting colors where they belong, one color, and be done with it probably. It's what I would just recommend on your first mini. Just get a feel for it, because getting thinness down, even though I'm saying 4 or 5, you know, things like glaze medium or thin and medium to 1 of paint. It's all about the humidity where you live, so that may not work as well for you guys. So you'll have to experiment with it, and that's why I say get those cheap D&D minis, because you're learning, and if you mess one up, that's fine. And so another thing is, my guy might look real dark, because he kind of is. It's like a camo green and black. I'm going to try to do some highlights on this guy down the road. Oh, I missed that shoulder spot, or that spot there. I need to go back and do that. Anyway, so I'm starting dark. If you're just going to do one color, you might want to pick a brighter color, because you're not going to be doing shading and highlighting. So bear that in mind, that I'm going to do more to this later. So I'm starting darker, because I want to put more colors on top of it. You might want to start a bit brighter, but let's get going on this, and I'm gonna, as we go back into time lapse, I guess. Okay guys, we're back. And guys, gals, dudes and dudettes. All that's really left is the leather, this thing here, the little purity seal, and the eyes. So I'm probably not going to do another stop. I'm probably just going to run through these real quick, or I might just skip to the end, because you guys sort of get the idea after I do the brown. But the thing too is, those ratios I was telling you are not, on top of not being exact, if you delve into different kinds of paint or different brands of paint, will vary, because there's like Vallejo Model Air that comes pretty much pre-thinned for an airbrush, and well, you won't need as much thinner in something that's already thinned, whereas the Pro Acryl is a bit thicker. Vallejo's probably, regular Vallejo, like the Game Color and others, are probably actually thicker than I'd say Pro Acryl. So you'll have to, if you go into other brands especially, on top of having to do it for your area and your humidity, you may have to adjust those ratios depending on the thickness of the paint you're using. And you'll just... It takes time, guys. I wish I could give you, because it infuriated me for so long and still does. Because so many people will say different things than this of milk, about the consistency of milk and all this other stuff. And it is so annoying. And all I can tell you is practice, practice, practice. Because you see how this is so thin, it's tinting it. That's kind of what you want. Some of the green I did earlier might have been a little bit thick somehow, even though I don't feel like that's accurate. But you want the colors to shine through, so just don't get frustrated. And like I said, they're your minis, and I think painting them to tabletop is fine, especially for your first couple minis. You're just trying to get a feel for everything. Because I feel like if you're worried about a bunch of advanced techniques, it might turn you off to the hobby. Because I know that sometimes sort of turns me off to it, is like worrying about being as good as everybody else, and I forget how much fun I have just coming in here and therapeutically painting. Because if I wasn't trying to do a video, I'd have on like a D&D podcast in the background of them playing a game. Maybe I'd be listening to the Major Wrestling Figure podcast or something, or I have a couple of books on Audible. I just put them in the background and just zone out for however long and just paint. And it is so nice to do. It really is, it can be therapeutic. I don't know if it's just the repetitive repetitive motion of painting. I was running my mouth and not paying as much attention to where the camera was. But I'm just painting this belt here because you guys have seen this so many times now. I feel like I'm kind of beating a dead horse. That's why probably after I get these colors done, I may not come back, no offense guys, till I get him what I would call for you guys done. Because all I'm going to do for the next step is go back over everything with the same colors, just to make sure I got the consistency that I want. And that's all you guys are going to do. It's just, after you do this first time, you're going to go back again, hit everything again until it gets to the color and consistency you want, or till you get good coverage, basically. Because your first one, you just want your skin to be the right color, your weapons to be approximately the right color, your armor to be the right color, and all that stuff. You're not worried about fancy stuff. You're just worried about getting paint where it's supposed to be. And for the first time, like I said, that's fine. And that is perfectly acceptable. This is more or less you getting a feel if this is something you would enjoy doing as a hobby. And I feel like this brown thins out thinner than the others. But that's alright, because that means it won't obscure details. And that's what we essentially want. But anyway, so just focus on the fun of it. And even if you do get to a point you pick up some advanced techniques or get into washing and all that other stuff, if you're, depending on what and how you're playing, the best advice I ever heard on some level, if you're not practicing a technique, you're just trying to play a game, pick and choose the models you put the extra time into. Like, if you're a D&D person, right? If you're painting up a bunch of kobolds for your D&D game, right? How long are they realistically going to be on the map? So probably spending X amount of hours painting them is going to be not pointless, because they're your minis, do what you want. But these are literally minis that are going to be on the battlefield for all of 5-10 seconds if it's an early encounter and your adventurers are just going through blowing them up. So just maybe you just do like you guys are doing here and just put colors so the skins are approximately what colors they should be. Their clothes are whatever color you want them to be, and their weapons are painted, and that's good enough. And then just take the extra time on your character minis, because you're going to play with them way longer and they're going to be on the board way more, if that makes sense. Alright guys, I'm going to call that good enough on the brown for a first coat, and I'm not going to make you guys sit through me doing the purity seal in the eyes. So all you're going to do after this point, like you can see on the brown, it's a bit thin. There's some thin spots on the green and the blacks, and definitely on the yellow. Is you're just going to go back through and do what we did the first time over again. If you get paint spots, go back and touch it up until you get it the color you want it. And then you've got to paint it. I mean, look how much better this guy already looks. Like, the first coat should excite you because you should see it taking shape as you get color on it. And that's all you're doing, guys. So don't be afraid. Try to paint without fear, unlike me. And remember, above all else, to enjoy the hobby. Enjoy sitting here painting and be happy with where you're at. And as you progress and get better, hey, you'll be able to look back on your first mini and go, man, I came from somewhere. And I wanted to put this out, so any mistakes I make did this part, maybe that'll encourage you guys to, hey, if I can put this on the internet, you guys can sit at home and do it. Anyway, guys, follow us on all the social medias. Click the notification bell to get notifications when I post another video. Check out the WordPress, the website. It'll have a written article with some steals, hopefully. Hopefully I can pull steals off this video. And if you got any comments, as far as if you're an experienced painter just checking out what we're doing, if I'm doing something wrong, put it down in the comments, and I'd like to know to get better. Or maybe some of the people that are watching this will be able to take your advice and get better at what they're doing. And let's learn from each other, guys. And if you are doing painting, show me some pictures of your minis, or send them on the socials, or let me know what you guys are painting. Anyway, guys, I'll catch you next time. Peace.